Chapter 15. The Glass Box. Day 45. The Plateau. Success, Arthur Vane discovered, had a specific flavor. It tasted like sterile air, premium mineral water, and the chalky residue of magnesium stearate. Arthur stood at the window of his new apartment. It was on the 32nd floor of a glass needle in Long Island City. Below him, the East River was a ribbon of gray sludge. Across the water, the Manhattan skyline glittered, a circuit board of ambition. He was no longer a contractor. He was the director of data strategy. The promotion had come 2 weeks after the St. Regis incident. Thorne had bought the seafood allergy lie because Arthur had delivered the back-end migration under budget and ahead of schedule. Results were the ultimate solvent. They dissolved all social awkwardness. Arthur took a sip of water. He looked at his reflection in the glass. He was wearing a bespoke suit. His hair was cut by a stylist who charged $150. He looked like a shark, sleek, dangerous, and dead-eyed. But if he looked down, the illusion shattered. Arthur looked at his ankles. They were swollen, puffy, fluid-filled cuffs of flesh that spilled over the edges of his expensive loafers. Peripheral edema, his mind catalogued. Common side effect of calcium channel blockers. Fluid retention. It was a grotesque contradiction. His upper body was skeletal. He was down to 126 pounds, but his lower extremities looked like they belonged to a geriatric heart patient. He had to buy compression socks to hide the deformity. He turned away from the window. The apartment was sparse. A white leather couch. A massive 8K monitor mounted on the wall. A desk. And the inventory. The kitchen pantry, usually reserved for food, was Arthur's pharmacy. 3 large white bottles from Dr. Vance lined the shelf, labeled simply with masking tape. M1, M2, M3. Next to them stood the orange bottles of Adderall from Dr. Gupta. And a new addition. A bottle of clonazepam, Klonopin, obtained from Dr. Vance during a follow-up consultation for muscle spasms. Arthur opened his laptop. Protocol_Charlie.xlsx was the current operating system. 6 a.m. 900 milligrams gabapentin plus 20 milligrams Adderall. The wake up. 11 a.m. 600 milligrams gabapentin plus 20 milligrams Adderall. The sustain. 4 p.m. 900 milligrams gabapentin. The landing. 9 p.m. 1 milligram Klonopin plus 10 milligrams Ambien. The shutdown. Total daily load. 2,400 milligrams gabapentin. 40 milligrams Adderall. He was functional. He was brilliant, but he felt nothing. The euphoria of the early days, the God mode feeling, was gone. The drugs no longer made him happy. They just made him able. They were the electricity required to keep the lights on. Without them, he was a dark room. With them, he was a lit room with no furniture. His phone buzzed. Elena. Dinner tonight? 7 p.m. The Modern. Arthur stared at the screen. Elena. They had been dating for a month. Or rather, they had been attending functions together. Arthur performed the role of boyfriend with the same algorithmic precision he applied to his code. He opened doors. He paid checks. He nodded at the right times. But he knew she was watching him. She was debugging him. He typed, confirmed. The Modern was a temple of minimalism inside the Museum of Modern Art. The acoustics were dampened, the lighting precise. Elena was waiting at a corner table. She looked tired. Her usual armored perfection was cracked. There were lines around her eyes. Arthur sat down. "You look fatigued," he observed. "Project load." Elena looked at him. She didn't smile. Hello to you too, Arthur. I am optimizing for efficiency, Arthur said, unfolding his napkin. Small talk is high latency. Is it? Elena asked. She took a sip of wine. Because I miss it. I miss the guy who stuttered a little bit. I miss the guy who got excited about data shards. That guy was inefficient, Arthur said. He was anxious. He lived in a basement. That guy was human, Elena countered. The waiter arrived. Arthur ordered a sparkling water. He didn't eat. He told himself it was intermittent fasting. But the truth was that the mixture of stimulants and anticonvulsants had paralyzed his hunger hormones. Food tasted like wet cardboard. Arthur, Elena said, putting her glass down. We need to talk. Arthur's heart rate remained steady at 85 BPM. The Klonopin he had taken at 5 p.m. acted as a firewall against emotional spikes. Proceed, he said. I went to your old desk today, she said, to talk to Miller. He says you don't talk to anyone anymore. You sit in your glass box for 12 hours a day. You send emails at 3 a.m. I am delivering value to the shareholders, Arthur said. You're shaking, Arthur. He looked at his hands. They were resting on the white tablecloth. They were vibrating. A low-frequency tremor. Caffeine, he lied. Stop it, Elena hissed. People at the next table glanced over. Stop lying to me. I know about the seafood allergy. I know about the mood swings. I see your eyes, Arthur. Your pupils are the size of dinner plates. Arthur stiffened. Threat detected. I am under the care of a physician, he said coldly. I have a complex neurological condition. You have a drug problem, Elena whispered. The words hung in the air between them, heavier than the sculpture in the garden. Arthur felt a flicker of annoyance. Not anger, he was too sedated for anger, but the irritation of a user dealing with a pop-up ad. I am the youngest director in the company's history, Arthur said. I solved the latency crisis. I possess a verified IQ of 165. Do I look like a junkie to you? He gestured to his suit, to the expensive restaurant, to the life he had built. Elena looked at him, really looked at him. She looked at the expensive suit hanging on the wireframe body. She looked at the swollen ankles bulging against the leather shoes. She looked at the dead, black eyes. Yes, she said sadly. You look exactly like a junkie, a rich one. She reached into her purse. She pulled out a key card, the spare key to his apartment he had given her 2 weeks ago as part of the boyfriend algorithm. She slid it across the table. I can't do this, Arthur. I can't watch you erase yourself. Arthur looked at the keycard. Input, relationship terminated. Consequence, increased free time. Reduced social obligation expenditure. Accepted, Arthur said. Elena flinched, as if he had slapped her. She stood up. She waited for a second, hoping for a reaction, a crack in the mask. Arthur just took a sip of his sparkling water. She walked away. 10 p.m. Arthur sat on his white leather couch. The apartment was dark, lit only by the glow of the city grid. He was alone. He felt a strange sensation in his chest. It wasn't heartbreak. It was emptiness. A vast, hollow cavern where a person used to be. He looked at the keycard on the coffee table. He had won. He had removed the last variable that threatened his routine. He was free to optimize without observation. So why did the silence feel so loud? The dose isn't holding, his mind whispered. Tolerance breach. The 2,400 milligrams he had taken today wasn't enough to numb the look on Elena's face. Arthur stood up. He walked to the pantry. He grabbed the bottle marked M1. He grabbed the Klonopin. He went to the kitchen island. He poured out 4 yellow capsules, 1,200 milligrams. He poured out 2 Klonopin, 2 milligrams. He didn't check the spreadsheet. He didn't log the data. Override, he muttered. He swallowed the handful. He went back to the couch and sat down, staring at the 8K monitor. It was displaying a screensaver, a slow-motion video of a jellyfish drifting in the deep ocean. He watched the jellyfish. It had no brain. It had no heart. It just floated, suspended in the dark, stinging anything that got too close. Arthur closed his eyes and waited for the water to rise. He was no longer building a life, he was just managing the depth.